a muse of fire that would ascend the brightest heaven of invention, a kingdom for a stage, princes to act, and monarchs to behold the swelling scene. Then should the warlike Harry, like himself, assume the port of Mars, and at his heels, leashed in like hounds, should famine, sword, and fire crouch for employment. But pardon, gentles all, the flat, unraised spirits that hath dared on this unworthy scaffold to bring forth so great an object. Can this cockpit hold the vasty fields of France? Or may we cram within this wooden O the very casks that did affright the air at Agincourt? On your imaginary forces work. Suppose within the girdle of these walls are now confined two mighty monarchies, whose high upreared and abutted fronts the perilous narrow ocean parts asunder. Piece out our imperfections with your thoughts. Think when we talk of horses that you see them printing their proud hooves in the receiving earth. For 'tis your thoughts that now must deck our kings. Carry them here and there, jumping o'er times, turning the accomplishment of many years into an hourglass. For the which supply, admit me chorus to this history, who, prologue-like, your humble patience pray, gently to hear, kindly to judge our play. Falstaff, he is dead. The king hath killed his heart. God save thy grace, King Hal, my royal Hal. God save thee, my sweet boy, my king, my Jove. I speak to thee, my heart. I know thee not, old man. Fall to thy prayers. How ill white hairs become a fool and jester. I have long dreamed of such a kind of man, so surfeit swelled, so old and so profane, that being awaked I do despise my dream. Reply not to me with a foolish jest. Presume not that I am the thing I was. For God doth know, so shall the world perceive, that I have turned away my former self, so shall I, those that kept me company. The silken dalliance in the wardrobe lies. Now thrive the armourers, and honour's thought reigns solely in the breast of every man. They sell the pastures now to buy the horse, following the mirror of all Christian kings with winged heels as English Mercuries. For now sits expectation in the air, and hides a sword from hilts unto the point with crowns imperial, crowns and coronets promised to Harry and his followers. The king is set from London, and the scene is now transported, gentles, to Southampton. There is the playhouse now, there must you sit, and thence to France shall we convey you safe and bring you back, charming the narrow seas to give you gentle pass. For if we may, we'll not offend one stomach with our play. Suppose that you have seen the well-appointed king at Hampton Pier embark his royalty, and his brave fleet with silken streamers the young Phoebus flagging. Play with your fancies, and in them behold upon the hempen tackle ship boys climbing. Hear the shrill whistle which doth order give to sounds confused. Behold the threadened sails, borne with invisible and creeping wind, draw the huge vessels through the furrowed sea, breasting the lofty surge. Oh, do but stand upon the rivage and behold a city of the inconstant billows dancing. For so appears this fleet majestical, holding due course for Harfleur. Follow, follow! Cheerly to see the signs of war advance. No king of England, if not king of France. Farewell, farewell, divine Xenocrate. Is it not brave to be a king and ride in triumph through Persepolis? Touch her soft lips and part. Dear friends, once more, or close the wall up with our English dead. In peace there's nothing so becomes a man as modest stillness and humility. But when the blast of war blows in our ears, then imitate the action of the tiger. Stiffen the sinews, conjure up the blood, disguise fair nature with hard-favored rage, and lend the eye a terrible aspect. Let it pry through the portage of the head like the brass cannon. Let the brow o'erwhelm it as fearfully as doth a gored rock o'erhang, and jutty his confounded base swilled with a wild and wasteful ocean. Now set the teeth, and stretch the nostrils wide. Hold hard the breath, and bend up every spirit to his full height. On, you noblest English, whose blood is fet from fathers of war-proof, fathers that, like so many Alexanders, have in these parts from morn till even fought, and sheathed their swords for lack of argument. Dishonor not your mothers. Now attest that those whom you called fathers did beget you. Be copy now to men of grosser blood, and teach them how to war. And you, good yeoman, whose limbs were made in England, show us here the mettle of your pasture. Let us swear that you are worth your breeding, which I doubt not. For there is none of you so mean and base that hath not noble lustre in your eyes. I see you stand like greyhounds in the slips, straining upon the start. The game's afoot. Follow your spirit, and upon this charge cry, God for Harry, England, and St. George! With linstock now the devilish cannon touches, and down goes all before him. Now, entertain conjecture of a time when creeping murmur and the pouring dark fills the wide vessel of the universe. From camp to camp, through the foul womb of night, the hum of either army stilly sounds, that the fixed sentinels almost receive the secret whispers of each other's watch. Fire answers fire, and through their paly flames each battle sees the other's umbered face. Steed threatens steed in high and boastful neighs, piercing the knight's dull ear. And from the tents, the armourers, accomplishing the knights with busy hammers, closing rivets up, give dreadful note of preparation. The country cocks do crow, the clocks do toll, and the third hour of drowsy morning neigh. Proud of their numbers and secure in soul, the confident and over-lusty French do the low-rated English play at dice, and chide the crippled, tardy-gated knight who, like a foul and ugly witch, doth limp so tediously away. The poor, condemned English, like sacrifices, by their watchful fires sit patiently and inly ruminate the morning's danger. And their gesture, sad, investing lank, lean cheeks and war-worn coats, presenteth them unto the gazing moon so many horrid ghosts. Oh, now, who will behold the royal captain of this ruined band, walking from watch to watch, from tent to tent? Let him cry praise and glory on his head, for forth he goes and visits all his host, bids them good morrow with a modest smile, and calls them brothers, friends, and countrymen. Upon his royal face there is no note how dread an army hath enrounded him, nor doth he dedicate one jot of colour unto the weary and all-watched night, but freshly looks and overbears a taint with cheerful semblance and sweet majesty, that every wretch, pining and pale before, beholding him, plucks comfort from his looks. A largesse universal like the sun, his liberal eye doth give to everyone, thawing cold fear, that mean and gentle all behold as may unworthiness defy. A little touch of Harry in the night. Upon the King. Let us our lives, our souls, our debts, our careful wives, our children and our sins lay on the King. We must bear all. Oh, hard condition, twin born with greatness, subject to the breath of every fool whose sense no more can feel but his own wringing. What infinite heart's ease must kings neglect that private men enjoy? And what have kings that privates have not too? Save ceremony, save general ceremony. And what art thou, thou idle ceremony? What kind of God art thou that sufferest more of moral griefs than do thy worshippers? What drink'st thou oft, instead of homage sweet, but poisoned flattery? Oh, be sick, great greatness, and bid thy ceremony give thee cure. Think'st thou the fiery fever will go out with titles blown for an adulation? Will it give place to flexure and low bending? Canst thou, when thou command'st the beggar's knee, command the health of it? No, thou proud dream that placed so subtly with a king's repose. I am a king that find thee, and I know 'tis not the balm, the sceptre, and the ball, the sword and mace, the crown imperial, the throne he sits on, nor the tide of pomp that bears upon the high shore of this world. No, not all these, thrice gorgeous ceremony, not all these, laid in bed majestical, can sleep so soundly as the wretched slave, who with a body filled, crammed with distressful bread, never sees horrid night, the child of hell, but like a lackey, from the rise to set, sweats in the eye of Phoebus, and all night sleeps in Elysium. Next day, after dawn, doth rise and help Hyperion to his horse, and follows so the ever-running year with profitable labor to his grave. And but for ceremony, such a wretch, winding up days with toil and nights with sleep, had the forehand and vantage of a king. O God of battles, steel my soldiers' hearts, possess them not with fear. Take from them now the sense of reckoning, ere the opposed numbers pluck their hearts from them. This day is called the Feast of Crispian. He that outlives this day and comes safe home will stand a tiptoe when this day is named, and rouse him at the name of Crispian. He that shall see this day and live to old age will yearly on the vigil feast his neighbors and say, "Tomorrow is Saint Crispian." Then will he strip his sleeve and show his scars and say, "These wounds I had on Crispin's day." Old men forget, yet all shall be forgot, but he'll remember with advantages what feats he did that day. Then shall our names, familiar in his mouth as household words, Harry the King, Bedford and Exeter, Warwick and Talbot, Salisbury and Gloucester, be in their flowing cups freshly remembered. This story shall a good man teach his son, and Crispin Crispian shall ne'er go by from this day to the ending of the world, but he in it shall be remembered it. We few, we happy few, we band of brothers. For he today that sheds his blood with me shall be my brother. Be he ne'er so vile, this day shall gentle his condition. And gentle men in England now abed shall think themselves accursed they were not here, and hold their manhoods cheap, whilst any speaks that fought with us upon St. Crispin's day. Awake, remembrance of our valiant dead, and with your puissant arm renew their feats. You are their heir. You sit upon their throne. The blood and courage that renowned them runs in your veins. And your thrice puissant liege is in the very May morn of his youth, ripe for exploits and mighty enterprises. The sun is high. Now, soldiers, march away. And how thou pleasest, God, dispose the day. day is ours. Praise be God, and not our strength for it. For when, without stratagem, but in plain shock and even play of battle, was ever known so great and little loss on one part and on the other? Take it, God, for 'tis none but thine. A castle stands hard by, they call it Agincourt. Then call we this the field of Agincourt, fought on the day of Crispin Crispianus. Do we now all holy rites? Let there be sung non nobis and Te Deum, the dead with charity enclosed in clay. And then to Calais, and to England then, where ne'er from France arrived more happy men. On equal love, great kings of France and England, that I have laboured with all my wits, my pains, and strong endeavours to bring your most imperial majesties unto this bar and royal interview. Your mightiness on both parts best can witness. Since then my office hath so far prevailed, that face to face and royal eye to eye you have congreted, let it not disgrace me if I demand before this royal view what rub, what impediment there is, why that the naked, poor, and mangled peace, dear nurse of arts, plenties, and joyful births, should not in this best garden of the world, our fertile France, put up her lovely visage. Alas, she hath from France too long been chased, and all her husbandry doth lie on heaps, corrupting in its own fertility. Her vine, the merry cheerer of the heart, unpruned dies. Her hedges, even pleached like prisoners wildly overgrown with hair, put forth disordered twigs. Her fallow leaves, the darnel, hemlock, and rank fumitory doth root upon, while that the coulter rusts that should deracinate such savagery. The even mead, that erst brought sweetly forth the freckled cowslip, burnet, and green clover, wanting the scythe, all uncorrected, rank conceives by idleness, and nothing teems but hateful docks, rough thistles, kexes, burrs, losing both beauty and utility. And as our vineyards, fallows, meads, and hedges, defective in their natures, grow to wildness, even so our houses and ourselves, our children, have lost or do not learn for want of time the sciences that should become our country, grow like savages, as soldiers will that nothing do but meditate on blood, or swearing, and stern looks, diffused attire, and everything that seems unnatural, which to reduce into our former favour you are assembled, and my speech entreats that I may know the let, why gentle peace should not expel these inconveniences, and bless us with her former qualities. The King of France hath granted every article, his daughter first, and then in sequel all, according to their proposed natures. That the contending kingdoms of France and England, whose very shores look pale with envy at each other's happiness, may cease their hatred, and in this dear conjunction plant neighbourhood and Christian-like accord in their sweet bosoms, that never war advance his bleeding sword twixt England and fair France. Thus far, with rough and all unable pen, our bending author hath pursued the story. In little room, confining mighty men, mangling by starts the full course of their glory. Small time, but in that small most greatly lived this star of England. Fortune made his sword, by which the world's best garden he achieved, and of it left his son imperial lord, which oft our stage hath shown, and for their sake, in which your fair minds let this acceptance take.